Gymnastics moms, is your gymnast a perfectionist? And that perfectionism seems like it would be a really good thing, but you've noticed how much it's preventing her from reaching her full potential in gymnastics. Then these episodes are going to be for you. Hi, I'm Coach Stacie. I'm here with Coach Ali.
Hi, everybody.
And we are so excited to start talking to you about perfectionism. Perfectionism is one of the biggest things that gymnasts come to us. And most gymnasts don't come to us and say, hey, I am a perfectionist and that's a problem. Most parents come to us and say, my gymnast is a perfectionist and that's a problem. But one of the hardest things is that gymnasts see perfectionism as a really good thing. And so when you see something as a good thing, you're not going to work on fixing it. You're not going to work on changing it. You're not going to work on getting better at it. And so we really wanted to just start out by talking about the difference between what we think perfectionism is versus what perfectionism actually is. Some people talk about perfectionism as there's good perfectionism and there's bad perfectionism. I actually don't think there's any good perfectionism, but I'm okay being like, we can agree to disagree on that. But Ali, let's start out by just talking about what do we think perfectionism is?
Well, in my definition, when people think that they have good perfectionism, it's actually having high standards.
Yeah.
And having high standards is not a problem. Usually that's coming from a place of wanting to do really well and having big goals and really wanting to do their best. And so that's where I see the discrepancy. So they think that they're just trying to reach their goals and that they're just using it as a way to be the best version of themselves. And that's why the gymnasts don't think it's a bad thing because they're like, if I didn't have this, then I wouldn't be reaching those goals. And so they're pretty attached to it in that way. And what we see perfectionism as, Stacie and I, is it's usually coming from the fear of not being good enough. In some way of not being good enough, of being rejection. So rejected from others, from recruiting, from making it to the next level. Like that fear, that embarrassment is what's actually driving them to want to keep going. And so there are a few different ways that we see that show up, but perfectionism is coming from that fear, and high standards is coming from that drive of wanting to do better and wanting to do your best. And that's the biggest difference of how we see it show up and how it affects their gymnastics.
Yeah, I think that we'll talk a little bit more about what that high standards looks like, but I think that at the end of the day, I always go back to the science of it all, but at the end of the day, perfectionism is a fear protective mechanism. And so
Mhm.
our brain says, I don't want to be rejected by anybody. I want everyone to think really well of me. I want people, and for a gymnast, they're like, I want people to think I'm a good gymnast. But moms, you're like, I want people to think I'm a good mom. Or dads, if you're here, I'm a good dad. Coaches are like, I want people to think I am a good coach. At the end of the day, we all care a lot about what other people think of us. And that's because we're biologically wired to do so. We are wired for community. We are wired, and in that, we get scared of being thrown out of that community for any reason. And so perfectionism says, I can make sure that there is never a reason ever for anyone to throw me out of the community if I'm perfect, because then there's nothing for them to say. And I always talk about it like in caveman days. I want you to imagine caveman days and we're all together in a cave and I am, Allie, you are not good enough. Get out. So we're in caveman days. I throw you out of the cave. I am the cave leader. So I get to decide and I throw you out of the cave. What happens to you?
I'd 100% die. And actually, my husband always jokes I'd die anyways because my eyes are so bad. So I would 1000% die.
Yeah. And so we're biologically wired that if we don't have the community, we aren't going to be able to survive physically and you even think about, we don't even have to go back to caveman days, right? Little baby. Allie, you've got two littles right now. If you threw them out of the house, not even to the wilderness. You just threw them out of the house. Are they
Mhm.
going to make it? No, we are dependent on our caretakers. And so, especially your gymnasts, they literally are still in a stage where they are physically dependent upon their caretakers to not throw them out, or they probably are either going to die, or like we know, how bad the foster system ends up, being. Anyways, I started to go into, I saw a statistic that a significant percentage of homeless people are
Mhm.
kids who aged out of the foster system. So even if we're like, oh, well, they would still, even in today's world, if we just get kicked out, if we get kicked out and we have nowhere to go and we don't have the support of community around us, it's usually pretty bad even as adults. If we don't have the support of other people, it's very, very difficult. And so everything in us is trying to make sure that we can make it so that people could never want to kick us out. But here's the craziest part. Do you like someone who seems perfect?
No, because we're comparing ourselves to them and it makes us feel imperfect.
It's one of the biggest reasons people don't like other people is they're, oh, she thinks she's so perfect and she just has it all together and everything in her life is so perfect. She's got the perfect house and she's got, this, and she's got a good job and she's got a good husband and she seems like she just is the perfect mom. And we actually don't even like people who are perfect. Even gymnasts, comparing to another gymnast who seems perfect, they usually don't like them. So it's always really funny to me that it's the thing that they strive for when it's actually something that we don't even like. But so perfectionism, we're going to talk a lot about, the different ways that it shows up and all of that. But the first part is just always understanding it. And for me, what's always the most helpful is understanding why my brain is telling me this is so
Mhm.
important. And
Yeah.
so for you and your gymnast, for you as a mom, the reason your brain is telling you it's so important that everybody else around you thinks that you are a good mom, that you are a good parent of an athlete, that you are good at your job, that you are good at whatever, is because your brain is afraid that if you aren't, you're going to be thrown out of your community and it sees it as a life or death situation. Now, our primary primitive brains are not logical. So it's not logically going through all those steps, but that's what's behind it. That's the biology behind it of why it gets so scared and why it puts such a high price on that, or not a high price, but a high thing. But let's talk, Ali, just briefly. I know we'll get deeper into it as we go, but what's the difference between that and then high standards? What do high standards actually look like?
When you have high standards, it basically detaches, in my opinion, your worth from
Mm,
reaching that goal. So if you listen to everything that Stacie just said, what's happening is they're using their gymnastics to prove that they're good enough to belong in this community. So if they're using gymnastics to prove that they're good enough, their worth is getting attached to how they actually perform, what skills they're doing, what scores they get, and where they go to college, all the things, they're getting attached to it. And so now their worth and their actual performance get tied together and they're relying on their perfectionism to prove that they're good enough. And so when you have high standards, you still want those things. You still want to qualify to nationals or to get a certain all around score or do whatever you were trying to do. But you know that you are worthy no matter what. You are loved no matter what.
mm,
You are an amazing human being and gymnast no matter what. And you're going after that goal because you want it, because it's fun, because you like to challenge yourself and be the best version of yourself. And it's the next step towards your big goals. I mean, even just feeling the difference, talking about it, right? I have to get this. I have to get this, or it wasn't even worth it. All this gym, like all the training, all the things. I hear that a lot. It wasn't even worth it. And the reason they think it's not worth it is because they don't feel like they've now proven that it was worth it and that they were worthy enough to get there. And so I really think that that's one of the biggest differences. It's not even about what the goal is, it's about their fuel behind reaching that goal. Is it fear
yes.
of rejection and not being worthy? Or is the desire to do well and to reach big goals and to enjoy that process to become the best version of yourself. And that's like, I mean, it's kind of a blurry line sometimes, right? And that's why there's that debate of the good perfectionism and the bad perfectionism and why gymnasts don't see it as a bad thing because they think that they're just have high standards and they are disciplined and want to do well. And the reality is we'll talk more about it, but you can have both, right? You can, well, the idea of high standards and enjoy that process without having all the fear behind it.
Let's talk about how it gets in the way really quick. Because, okay, so we've said it's a problem because it comes from evolutionary,
Yeah.
not evolutionary, but it comes from like our biological wiring. And so that's why it's happening. But why is it a problem?
Honestly, it comes to their deep rooted thoughts that are going on while they're practicing and what they start believing. But what I see a ton is it holds them back from making progress in a skill because maybe the drill or the step ahead of that isn't good enough. It's not perfect enough. It holds them back from making the connection, the series, because the first part has to be perfect in order for them to be able to do the second part. And so there's a lot of perfectionism thoughts that hold them back from making progress on the skill, from going for the next part of the skill, for taking that next step. Because if it's never good enough, they don't feel safe or trusting and being able to take that next step. It holds them back from communication with coaches, with other teammates, with colleges. But in general, if they're never feeling it's good enough, or if they're in a place of hesitating all the time, communicating to a coach is the scariest thing that they could ever imagine because their coach might get mad at them. Their coach might, the parent might get mad at them, even though you're like, okay, I literally would never get mad at them. I have the nicest coach, the nicest parent, whatever it is, like they are worried that the communication about doing something not perfect is worse than just trying to grind it out and figure it out themselves. So it holds them back from their skills, it holds them back from their communication. And then when it comes to recruiting and putting themselves out there and things, it holds them back from wanting to do that because they don't want to put videos up. They don't want to send emails because they're worried that if it's not good enough, then it'll deter a coach. Or if it's not good enough, then they're never going to get to go to that school or that they'll just delete it and not pay attention to them. And there's a lot of different mindsets behind that. So really this idea of like trying to seek these high standards when it comes from perfectionism actually holds them back from reaching those because the fear of it not being good enough or of them not being good enough throughout the entire process just resists them making that progress the entire time.
I think the final thing I just saw very viral post from a coach saying, if I can't give you corrections, I'm here to help you. But if every time I give you a correction, I hurt your feelings, then
Yeah.
I can't coach you. And I think that's the last thing we talk about being coachable is that gymnasts, when you're in that perfectionism mode, I'm supposed to be perfect, then any correction. I've had gymnasts tell me if a coach gives me a correction, then that means I'm bad. I should be able
Mhm.
to do a turn and have a coach be like, that was perfect. And I'm like, your coach's literal job is to figure out what could be better about that. So you're asking your coach not to do their job, but where that comes from, why it's a problem for a gymnast to hear the correction is because their brain says there should be no corrections, which then makes them uncoachable. And
Mhm.
so that's a definite huge part of the problem. And coming back to, we just spent 2 months talking about mental blocks. A significant part of mental blocks comes from perfectionism that I believe I have to be perfect. So, we talked about, I'm afraid I'm going to get hurt and then fall behind. And that causes a mental block. Well, the fall behind comes from this idea that there's this perfect timeline that they should be following that doesn't exist in reality, but they're going to fall behind that imaginary timeline. I'm afraid of how I'm going to treat myself. Well, that 100% comes from perfectionism. And then I'm afraid of what other people are going to think about me. Same perfectionism. Perfectionism is the true root of most, not all, but most mental blocks. And if
Mhm.
it's not the root, it plays a significant part in it. So we're going to talk a lot more about perfectionism over the next month or so. But I think the first step is just being able for you to a parent to just look at okay, how have I let this idea that I need to be perfect permeate into my life? Where am I seeing that at? And so then how am I modeling that to my gymnast? I tell her
Mhm,
she doesn't need to be perfect, but where am I feeling like I need to be perfect? And then
mhm.
how can I go, okay, there is no such thing as a perfect mom there or a perfect boss or a perfect employee or a perfect wife or, and so where am I letting that permeate? Allie, how else do you think they could start having the conversation around perfectionism really is just coming from this fear and you don't with their gymnast?
Well, okay, so as a coach, I actually used to always tell my gymnasts, great gymnasts aren't perfect. They know how to make things happen even when it's not. And so
Yeah.
that's just like the reality. Even the college gymnasts that make things look perfect, if you watch a routine, those girls fight. They're fighting. They're making small corrections. They're making changes. They're adjusting and they're learning. And so I think even just like helping them learn how to listen to their body in this way of if it's not perfect, that is okay. How could you make it work anyways? When it comes to the skill
Yeah.
part, what are things that you think you could do to help yourself make it work? Or what's the one thing that you need to do to feel safe to get there? But I also think just asking them the why. If they're like, I have to do this and this is what they want, and they're like trying to talk about the perfection and being why is that important to you?
Oh, that's
And
very
if they're getting to the point where they just feel like they have to do it, then that's coming from the perfectionism and just
yeah.
helping them finding an underneath drive that is not coming from that fear of having to get it or else. A lot of times, or else will follow the I have to do that or else this will never happen and they start getting into this panic. So when you're seeing that happening, just helping them find a root reason of why they actually want it rather than it being this big overarching I have to or else and then being able to go from there. And then the last part, I know I'm throwing a lot at you, is just as you're talking I know so many parents do this already. So just to keep it in mind, but continuing to celebrate progress over perfection and improvements over big scores sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying don't celebrate the big wins. Definitely celebrate those, but also celebrate the things that help them get there because the only way to reach those goals is to fail and mess up and do the things that you need to in order to get there. And so you have to celebrate that progress. And if they're never celebrating progress and only celebrating the end, then that means that that is proving what they're trying to prove, that they're
Yeah.
only worthy of celebrating when they reach that big goal.
Yeah.
And so being able to help them celebrate through the entire process is going to help them really start celebrating the things the hard work, the actual having high standards rather than the perfectionism of the finishing.
Love it. Ali, if somebody wants to work with us and they want their gymnast to work with us to work on perfectionism, what do they need to do?
Sign up for a strategy call, meet with one of us, and we can talk through your gymnast goals and really help you get set up for what we believe would be the next steps for you and your gymnast.
Yeah, a lot of times this is a big topic. And like I said,
Mhm.
it comes down to our biological wiring, and rewiring that takes practice and it takes time and it takes expertise in
Mhm.
guiding them through it. And, we even have a lot of moms who are like, I'm a mental health professional, but my gymnast doesn't listen to me. And like, yeah. And so, we have this superpower in where we understand gymnastics at a very deep level. It is in both of our bones in every way, shape, or form of the sport, but also we understand the mental health process in order to get there, and we help guide your gymnast through it. So we'd love to help. All right, we will see you next time where we keep talking about perfectionism.